Hi everyone, it's me, Sarah. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are doing a nice, chill, restorative class, and I'm going to guide you through some ways that we can use a yoga bolster. So I'm using a Manduka rectangular bolster. It's called the Enlight bolster. I love Manduka products, so I will go ahead and link that in the description if you're interested. But if you don't have a bolster and you're interested in doing this restorative class and adding some more of those comfort elements into your yoga practice, go ahead and grab a bunch of pillows from your bed. If you have other yoga props, go ahead and grab a blanket and a block. You can fold your blanket up to make a nice rectangle. This is Bentley. He might be joining us for our class today. We'll see how it goes. And we're going to get started in Sukhasana. So this is my favorite way to use a bolster, just lifting the hips and giving a little comfort into this easy seat, Sukhasana. So once you get there, closing the eyes if that feels comfortable, or finding a point to gaze at on the floor. And feeling the spine aligned over the pelvis, as we tend to tip forward when we sit. So go ahead and kind of lean back. Imagine you're up against an imaginary wall. And begin to feel the breath. Slowing the breath down as we begin this restorative, chill practice. You can imagine that the belly is inflating like a balloon as you breathe in, and deflating as you breathe out. Seeing if you could send the breath downward into the belly. And seeing if you could lengthen the breath as well. Beautiful. Taking one more deep breath. And slowly opening the eyes when you're ready. We'll say goodbye to Bentley. And take a big inhale in. We're just going to get into the neck a little bit. And exhale, chin to chest. Good. Inhale, bring one shoulder towards one ear. Breathe in. And exhale, chin drops back down. Inhale, other way. Shoulder to ear. And exhale back through center. Take a couple more rounds of this half circle. Moving nice and slow. Or if it feels right for you, you can come into a full circle. Careful not to crunch as you lift the chin. Good. Reverse the circle if you are taking full circles. Good, and then finding length through the neck. We'll just take a couple shoulder rolls here. Inhaling to squeeze the shoulders up and exhale to roll them down. Good, and reversing, going back and up and forward and down. So we're gonna get a lot into the hips today. That's gonna be our main focus, but I just want us to check in with the neck and shoulders before we move down into the hips, just so that we're nice and relaxed in our upper body during these intense hip stretches. So once you're feeling good, we're going to come into a reclined butterfly, and we're going to use the bolster going vertically. And so you can, this is also called supported fish, which is it's a nice heart opener, but we're going to take butterfly legs. So go ahead and bring the bolster up to a little bit up from your lower back. Bring your soles of your feet to touch and lower yourself on down. Good. We're going to bring our arms out into goalposts or goddess arms. So the elbows are bent straight out from the shoulders. You can play around with the distance from the bolster to your glutes. So if this is too intense on your low back, what you might do is move your hips farther away from the bolster, which will just bring this arch more into your upper back. This is one that you might have done before with blocks, but using the bolster makes it a lot more comfortable. And if you are feeling like this is too much in your hips, you might take a block or two under the knees to support the knees, or you might just lengthen your legs out. And maybe you do one leg up into butterfly at a time. Once you've got yourself situated, see if you can send your breath all the way down into the belly. Again, inflating the belly like a balloon. The breath is going to want to expand into the chest because this is such a deep shoulder and chest opener, which is great to send the breath there. We also want to get the benefits of the relaxing diaphragmatic breathing and sending the breath downward into those hips. Notice if you're holding any tension in the neck and shoulders, or even in the jaw or the face. And see if you can just relax the muscles of the face and neck and tops of the shoulders. And we'll take 2 more deep breaths here. When you're ready, slowly bring the hands beside your hips. I like to press my elbows down into the floor and then push myself up. We're going to come to a seated butterfly, so your legs can stay about the same. And we're going to bring the bolster actually under the knees to support this external rotation, support the ankles. This is one option for our butterfly fold, and I'll show the other option in a second. So kind of rock side to side. Make sure that the fleshy part of the glutes is not rolled under too much. You're going to reach the heart up, breathe in. And exhale, we're going to bend forward from the hips and bring our palms face up so that we're not forcing it too much or pulling with the hands. We want to think up and over and just going to your edge of sensation. Feeling the support of the bolster under your legs. As you relax the back of the neck and surrender to this fold, reversing the effects of our back bend. If this option is not working for you today, the other option is to bring the bolster out in front of you, letting the knees dangle, or maybe you have blocks, and leaning forward onto the bolster. You can stack your fist so it brings the bolster closer to your head, just resting your head on the bolster. If you have blocks, you can also kind of stack them up here to make a nice incline for yourself. Or if you're just using pillows from your bed, you might grab an extra pillow or two for this one. See if you can, once again, bring your breath down into your belly. And feel both sides of the spine, all the way down into the lower back and glutes, opening up. Let's take 2 more deep breaths here. And slowly taking your time to press yourself back up. Awesome. Notice how you feel. And then we're going to bring the bolster back behind us how we were at the beginning of class. We're going to come into a belly down twist. And we're going to take deer pose with the leg. So I'm bringing my left hip to the bolster. So my left knee is going straight out at 90 degrees with this shin. This back knee is going out 90 degrees and then 90 degrees with that shin. Before we fold over, let's just take a side bend. So the bolster is by the hip. We're going to inhale, lift that arm up. Exhale to side bend away from the bolster, creating length in this hip and side waist. And coming back up. Good. We're going to inhale to lift the heart and exhale, spiral towards the bolster. You can kind of shimmy your hips so they're also helping you with this twist. And you're going to slowly lower your upper body down. If it feels like the bolster is really far away from you, this is where you might stack some other props to bring it a little bit higher. But for most of us, this should be okay. And I want to encourage us to turn the head in the direction of this front knee and not turn it away. If you want to, you can turn it away. It's just going to be a really intense twist in the upper cervical spine. Once you get down there, just kind of letting the shoulders be soft. Adjusting the legs, however, feels good so that there's no pain in the low back. Maybe taking your glasses off if you are like me. And relaxing into this twist. Really allowing your belly to expand as you breathe in. And just feeling your body weight sink down into the bolster as you breathe out. Taking 2 more deep breaths here. And slowly taking your time to press back up. And we're going to do a little swivel to go to the other side. So kind of just turning yourself towards the front of your mat. And we'll set up for deer pose on the other side. So just adjust the bolster so it's in line with your hip. You don't want it in line with the front knee. You want it in line with the hip. And then that hand is going to reach up. Breathe in. And exhale, side bend. Breathe out. Good. Inhale into the stretch. And exhale slowly brings you back up to center. Good. Inhale, we're going to lift our heart up and exhale to twist and slowly walk ourselves forward. Turning the ear the same way as our front knee. And for me, I really have to shimmy around in my hips to find a good, happy place for my low back to be. And then once I can do that, it helps me to relax through the torso more. And I kind of just like hug my bolster with my upper body. This side might feel completely different, so notice that and then see if you can melt into it. Really getting into the muscles of the mid-back as well as the hips. Let's take 2 more slow, deep breaths, feeling ourselves inflate the belly. And then when you're ready, slowly pressing yourself back up. Good, I'm just gonna grab my glasses. We're gonna come around. You can shake out your legs. We've done a lot with the knees bent, so just kind of, it might feel good to really stretch out the knees, maybe point and flex the feet a little bit. And then when you're ready, we're gonna come around into all fours, but go ahead and leave your bolster how it is and kind of straddle it with your knees. This is just something I always do. It's not really for anything, any particular reason. We're just going to take a cat and cow here to reset the spine. Breathing in to arch and breathing out to curl. Good. And maybe you take little circles with the rib cage. Just want to loosen up any kinks from our poses we've done so far. And then we're going to come into Gomukhasana on the bolster. So if you've never done Gomukrasana, this is an awesome way to start. Opening up into it. It's a deep hip stretch, but if you've done it before and you've had knee pain, which is my experience with the pose, is kind of having some knee pain, then the bolster might help you today. And how I want us to get into it is from all fours. Our bolster is here. We're going to bring the right knee in and then the left knee. So right knee first and the left knee, and you're going to kind of rotate your feet out to the sides of the bolster. And you're going to make sure the bolster is there for you as you sink the hips back. Good, you can kind of adjust, make sure that you can sit on the bolster, and then you're going to peel your upper body off your knees. Good. So whichever leg is crossed over should be the right one, but if it's not, that's okay. That hip is going to want to come off, and you're going to want to lean to the left. So we want to slowly over time ground through the left hip, left sit bone into the bolster. And over time, we want to get the feet out in line with the knees. I'm not there yet. Like I said, I have sensitive knees. Something that helps if you have sensitive knees is to flex the feet a little bit. Good. We're going to stay with a straight spine to start. Feeling into this deep hip stretch. See if you can relax the shoulders. And again, just like we started in our seated meditation, make sure we're not kind of curling forward as much as possible. Almost feel like you could lean back against an imaginary wall. Good. And then whichever knee's on top, we're going to reach that arm, palm face up. Reach it up to the sky and then have that hand fall back behind your neck. Good. The other hand's going to come out. You're going to turn the thumb down and bend that elbow, trying to bring the back of the hand to your low back or maybe up to your mid back. So the goal is to be able to clasp hands. I feel like I'm about 4 inches, 5 inches away, which is completely normal. But then, even if you can't clasp the hands, you want to feel this opening in the shoulders and the chest. Just breathe into it. If anything's too much, just back out. Relax the arms down. Let's take one more deep breath here with this Gomukrasana arm variation. And exhale, release that arm stretch. Awesome work. We're going to walk the hands forward, just getting a little deeper into the hips. Take a deep breath here. And then we're going to keep going forward. This time, lift the hips off the bolster. Come back to hands and knees, and we're going to unravel the knees. Come back to that tabletop and take a couple rounds of cat and cow. And this time you might kind of shift your hip side to side. Notice if one hip feels a little different after that hip stretch. Awesome work. So now we are going to go into the other side. So let's bring the left knee up and the right knee behind it. Good. Try to bring those knees to cross one on top of the other. And then slowly push your hips back onto the bolster. Feel free to move the bolster around to suit your needs. And then see how this side feels. It's going to feel way different, so no worries. The left hip, the knee that's stacked, is going to want to come up. See if you can begin to feel it become heavy and soften down. It's not going to get completely even right away. Then bring a little bit of energy into those feet. You might notice on one side you can walk the feet more forward. So just see how this side feels. Then find that tall spine. So I definitely try to arch the upper back. That's my tendency, so I know I have to kind of lean back. Notice the shoulders relaxing down and the back of the neck nice and long. Focusing on that tall spine is really going to help us almost distract ourselves from this intense hip stretch, which you're probably feeling. And then adding on the arm variation on this side, bring the left hand the same as the knee that's on top, palm face up. Inhale, reach the arm up. And exhale, just try to touch the palm of the hand to the back of the neck, the center of the spine. Good, the opposite hand's gonna come out, palm face down, so the elbow comes up, and the back of that palm wants to come to the middle back. Might just be at the low back, but the back of the palm for the bottom hand and the front of the palm of the hand on the top hand. Good. You can see if you've dropped in the neck. See if you can kind of push the head back into that top wrist, or just find some sort of length in the spine, even with this crazy pretzel shape. We want that tall column through the center so that we can breathe fully. Awesome. Take one more inhale here. And exhale to release this shape with the arms. Good. Just coming into a nice little fold. You might just bring the hands out, and that's totally good. If you're more bendy, you might be walking the hands forward. Just take a breath into this hip stretch. Good, then lift the hips off the bolster, plant the hands, come back to your all four position. And this time you might take hip circles, cat and cow, combination of both. You can always sink your hips back onto the bolster for a nice supported child's pose if you'd like. Just take some freestyle movements. And then, whenever you're ready, we're going to take the bolster, and I like to bring it horizontally on the mats. And I'm going to offer a downward facing dog for you all. If you do not want to do downward dog, because I said this is a chill class, no need. But if you'd like to just stretch out the body, go ahead and lift the hips high. And you might feel like you can almost bring your head to the bolster. That might feel good. Getting into the hamstrings and just lengthening that spine out, most importantly. Let's take a deep breath here. You might still be in table, that's awesome. Breathing in, breathing out. Good, we're gonna set up for pigeon. So the right knee is gonna come towards the right wrist, and we're going to try to sink our hips onto the bolster. This is my preferred way to do pigeon on the bolster. Some people like to have it vertically going back from this hip. I just like to have that extra support under the supporting hip to help me rotate this back hip, this hamstring down to the mat. So we tend to want to open out into pigeon, right? So the bolster kind of reminds me, oh, I need to sink that left hip down. If you've done pigeon a lot and you're pretty open, what the bolster allows is to bring the shin parallel to the front of the mat. If you do pigeon without the bolster, typically your heel is really close to your hip, and that's completely valid to protect the knee. But if you have the space, you might try to get that shin more parallel to the front of the mat with the help of the bolster. If that's too much in your knee, then the bolster really helps you to not have knee pain, and you might have your heel a little closer to your hip. Okay. So from here, let's try to find length in the spine before we fold. So planting the hands, feeling this lengthening from the left side of the rib cage down through the left hip flexor, and then slowly begin to walk the hands forward. You might stay here pressing into the hands, or you might come to the elbows. Of course, you can have another prop supporting you, maybe a block underneath the hands or the elbows or even the forehead. And we're just going to breathe here. Breathe into the sensation you're feeling. If there's any knee pain at all, please back out of the pose. Be sure to flex the front foot and change the angle of that front knee if you need. Check in with that belly breath and see if you can bring the breath down into the belly here. And checking in with the face and the neck and shoulders as well, making sure that we're not holding any tension. Awesome. Let's take 2 more deep breaths. Slowly, when you're ready, pressing yourself back up. Swinging your legs back behind you, kind of falling off the bolster. We'll come back into our downward facing dog to stretch it out, making sure that we find length in the spine. So you might be taking some cat-cows if you don't want to do downward dog. Find some length in the spine before we set up for the next side. So really lengthen the tailbone away from the wrists. Imagine that the vertebrae of the spine are getting farther apart. Then when you're ready, bringing the left knee towards the left wrist and letting the hip soften onto the bolster. Good. Try to rotate this back hip down. I know it's hard. And then play around with the angle of the front shin. As you'll see for me, this is my tighter hip and more sensitive knee. So what I'm doing is I'm changing the angle a little bit. So if I had my foot way out here, that's going to really torque my knee on this side. So I'm just bending it in a little bit more. And once you've kind of felt it out, go ahead and try to find length from the right rib cage down through the right hip flexor. And then make space as you begin to walk the hands forward nice and slow. So on this side, I definitely can't go as far down. So I'm just going to go down to my hands. And it takes a lot of humility to do pigeon pose. Yeah, it takes a lot of humility. So just meet yourself where you're at and don't push it. Make sure that front foot is flexed. And try to send your breath down to your belly. It's really going to help signal to the body to relax, as well as just opening deeper into those hips, sending fresh oxygen into those tissues. Be sure to relax the face and the neck as much as possible. If your arms are holding you up, use as little effort as you can. So My arms are holding me up here, but I'm relaxing my shoulders away from my ears, and I'm just letting my chin fall to the chest and the crown of my head lengthen down. Notice as time goes on, if you're able to go deeper into the pose or find more space in that hip. You might also feel the low back releasing tension, softening. Beautiful. Take 2 more deep breaths. And slowly, when you're ready, taking your time to press back up. And this time we're going to swing our legs around, stretch them out. Good. Go ahead and sit up on your bolster. Just going to take one more forward fold, Paschimottanasana. So using the bolster to lift our hips for this one. Another option, I'm actually going to do this one, is to bring the bolster under the knees like we did at the beginning. So let's inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward and down. Good, lengthening through the hamstrings. And feeling both sides of the back stretching evenly. Another option I want to give before I forget is to bring the bolster down like this. Just give it a big hug. And we're only going to be here for about 3 deep breaths, just using this as our counter pose for pigeon. So really take one final deep breath here and just enjoy. And slowly peeling ourselves back up. Awesome work. We're going to come to lay down, but before we do, I just want to offer some windshield wipers with the knees to loosen up any tension in the hips or the low back that we've been working on. Great. Okay, you might notice you're already like shimmying down to the ground with this one. So go ahead and lengthen yourself down. And we're going to make sure you have the bolster nearby. We're going to come into supported bridge pose. So go ahead and lift the hips and press into the feet and lengthen the lower back and sacrum down onto the bolster. You may have done this with a yoga block before in your practice. And just noticing how the bolster is a lot more comfortable than the block, as the hip flexors and the belly can just soften. And then when you're ready, hugging the right knee into the chest and just letting the left heel slide along the ground to lengthen out towards the top of the mat. Good. For a moment, flex the left foot and actively try to stretch the left leg away from you as you pull the right knee in. So feel that action of pressing. Imagine there's a floor you could stand on. You're really going to press down in the left thigh. You might feel a big opening in the left hip flexor as you pull this right knee in. And then go ahead and relax the left leg now. So soften through the quadriceps, through the foot, and hug the right knee deeper in. This is one of my favorite stretches to do to release the hip flexors and the hamstrings and bring balance back into this pelvic bowl. If you're wanting a little bit more, you can grab under the right thigh and just work on coming towards a stretch with that right leg. So coming towards a hamstring stretch. Maybe you just bend and straighten a couple times. You can circle the ankle, maybe flex and point the foot as well. And then we're all going to bring the right knee towards the right armpit. So go ahead and grab the right knee with the right hand and just open it out towards the right armpit. This should feel like a little bit different, and for me it feels really good. Opening out in the right hip. You can even work towards a half happy baby if you'd like to go deeper. Good. Take one more deep belly breath here. And slowly release the right foot to the floor. Bring the left foot back up to meet it. You might shimmy or adjust yourself on the bolster. You can even kind of rock your knees a little bit side to side, just slightly. And then we'll hug the left knee to the chest. Feel the left low back lengthen out. And then slowly slide the right foot along the earth. Go ahead and flex the right foot. See if you can stretch the right heel out towards an imaginary floor underneath you as you pull that left heel in, or left knee in. So just kind of activating through the stretch first. And then really releasing it. So relax the right foot, relax the right quadriceps, and really pull that left knee in. So we are using the arms for this one, but we don't want to let that strength creep upward into our shoulders and our neck and our face. So go ahead and soften a little bit. And it's totally cool to stay here in this nice passive hip flexor stretch, or you can add on your hamstring stretch by grabbing under the left thigh and just slowly stretching, going to your edge and relaxing, stretching and relaxing. Think of just extending, no need to go really straight with that knee. Just kind of extend and let it fall. Maybe you take some ankle circles. Good. And then we're all going to open the left knee up towards the left armpit as we continue lengthening through the right hip flexor. So you might see if you can hug the left knee in. Some of us can grab with the corner of the left elbow to the left knee, or maybe half happy baby, which is just grabbing the outer edge of the foot. Okay, let's take 2 more deep breaths. When you're ready, planting the left foot back down, sliding the right heel up and shimmying the knees side to side a little. Good. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, curl the hips off of the bolster, slide it out from under you and bring it to the left side of the mat vertically. We're going to press into the feet, kind of shift the hips to the right, and then bring both knees up and over to the left. And they're going to fall onto the bolster. Good, the right arm can extend out, the left hand can come out I like to bring my left hand to my right thigh, maybe to the torso. Just coming into a restorative twist, so this should be a nice and gentle twist to finish. Letting the bolster support underneath that left knee and outer left shin. Take one more deep breath, filling up the belly and relaxing. Awesome, bringing the feet back to the earth. Go ahead and bring the hips back to center, and then just go ahead and take your bolster, bring it to the right side of your mat. Shimmy the hips, or maybe the upper body as well if you're kind of low on space. Shimmy the hips to the left a little bit, and the knees go up and to the right. Good, and then the left arm can extend. I like to have both my ankles and feet, my shin and my knee supported by the bolster, so you might need to adjust that. Take one more deep breath, sending the breath down into the belly. And slowly, when you're ready, bringing your knees back up to center, sending your hips once again. And we're going to bring this bolster under the knees for Shavasana, letting the feet come to the corners of the mat. Just letting this bolster under the knees support the low back, and the palms come face up. See if you can relax the entire body so we're not holding on to any muscles here. We're just softening down into the ground. Softening the muscles of the face between the eyebrows, along the jawline. Softening the muscles of the chest and the belly, the hips, and down into the legs. This is where I will leave you today, and I encourage you to stay here relaxing on your back for as long as you have time for. Maybe putting on one of your favorite songs or covering up with a blanket. I really encourage you to continue relaxing and taking time to restore your body and mind. And if you have to get going with the rest of your day, I encourage you to do so mindfully and slowly. I hope to see you back on my YouTube channel sometime soon. Thank you all so much for practicing with me.